My question is, why is it that Gerry Harvey can keep $22 million in JobKeeper despite making a $462 million profit, yet the government is indebting over 11,000 Australians to repay $32 million, even though the circulation of this money is the most likely reason the economy did not plunge into a deep recession?
So there's a couple of issues here, and we'll get to whether the government should be clawing back money from individuals who may have been overpaid a bit of JobKeeper and JobSeeker, but the businesses, and Gerry Harvey's mentioned there. Paul, Zahra, the Australian Retailers Association, does represent Harvey Norman, as I understand it. Should Gerry Harvey pay the money back?
Oh, well, we do represent Harvey Norman, one of 7,500 other retailers, I might say, and the majority didn't claim JobKeeper, or if they did, paid it back. So unfortunately, Harvey Norman's been played out in the media consistently. It's one example.
And what's your
really
answer on that?
Well, look, if I was in the same position, I would have paid it back, but it's a question around individual management and decisions based on leadership, again, around what people believe.
You're saying there's a lack of leadership there?
Well, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying it's different styles of leadership. I think they got it. They were entitled to it. They've chosen not to pay it back. It's a decision that they've made, and it's not for me really to respond on why they didn't.
Alan, Kohler, there are, well, the numbers are well reported now. $4.5 billion in JobKeeper went to businesses that boosted their revenues. $12.5 billion went to businesses that didn't actually meet the requirement of dropping 30%.
I think it was a bit more than that, but anyway.
$12.6 billion, I think.
Well,
so what should happen here?
I think what should happen is that the people who got the businesses that got JobKeeper should all be exposed on a website. There should be a register of JobKeeper payments. $225 million has been given back. 90% of that money has come from ASX-listed companies because it was exposed to the public. I mean, Gerry Harvey's unusual because he's an ASX-listed company and he doesn't give a bugger what anyone thinks. So most of the companies that are ASX-listed gave it back because everyone could see that they got it. But most of the companies that are private companies that got it and didn't deserve it didn't give it back, and we don't know about them.
So, Matt Canavan, can the government really claim to be worried about debt if it's not going to claw back these billions of dollars?
You can't change the rules after the fact, David. I suppose just everyone viewing tonight, ask yourselves if the government had made a payment to you and they found out later it was too much and should have been less, but they had no legal right to take it back, and we went and asked you, pretty please, can you pay it back? Would you do it? Probably most of us wouldn't, because we'll just waste it. I mean, giving money to Canberra is probably the stupidest thing ever to do.
So were the rules wrong in the first instance? Was this designed poorly?
No, well, obviously we could all be Monday experts on these types of programs, but the JobKeeper program did its job.
But was this a massive loophole?
About to get to that. It did its job, and keep in mind how quick this had to be put in place. So it was inevitable that there was going to be some issues. Also, keep in mind, everybody at the time, the health experts, all of us, imagined that we would have a very large coronavirus outbreak occurring in the first few months of last year. That didn't happen, and that's why we've had a lot of this extra money. So the program was designed for an event which was predicted by all, but didn't happen. So it's completely understandable, the outcomes, even though, of course, if we knew what we knew now back then, we would have done it differently.
Alan, we possibly need to remember why this happened. Why did these companies get the money that they shouldn't have got? And it was because the government said to businesses, forecast. It wasn't so much whether your profit, your revenue fell by 30%. It's do you think it will? And then all these companies said, of course, said they think that our profit's going to fall, our revenue's going to fall by 30%, and then the government didn't check up later.
Nor is there a public list of who.
No, there's no public list, and they all got it for 6 months, no questions asked, and at the end of that time, they didn't check up whether they were right in their forecast of revenue.
Right, but okay.
I mean, heavens above.
You could claim it if you had 1 month. You could claim it. You could claim it if you had 1 month reduction and you didn't have to show future months. So you had to have 1 month of reduction, which a lot of people did because the initial impact.
Well, of course, that's right.
Okay, but at the end of the day,
and then we didn't. Yeah.
Coming back to Demi's question, it's why let the businesses keep the cash, the billions of dollars, but claw back from 11,000 Australians, what is it, $22 million in JobKeeper overpayments. Matt Canavan, you're saying that's okay? You seriously think that's a good look?
Well, David, those are the rules for those payments. So that there's a legal right for the government to do that, and of course we're stewards of your money. If there's a legal right that someone has been overpaid, we should do that because we've got to try and make sure we spend your money as frugally as possible. I know there are other people who think it doesn't matter how much we spend, but it is really important. We've got the largest debt here now.
I think we're all agreeing we care about wasting billions of dollars on businesses that didn't need the help. Catherine King, do you think, has the horse bolted, as the Senator suggests, too late to get this money back from those businesses?
Well, no, I don't think it is, frankly, because governments make laws and change laws all the time, and I think it's, frankly, it looks obscene. When you've got this, billions of dollars for companies that have paid, their shareholders out and executives out, and yet you've got people who lost jobs, lost hours, they're still struggling, and the government's pursuing, maybe $1,000 in JobKeeper payments that they, and pursuing them pretty heavily. I just think it looks obscene, and frankly, the government's got its priorities wrong about this.
And
I think it needs to go back and have a think about what the effect is on people.
Go back to the beginning. How do you design a $90 billion program, the biggest program in Australia's history, giving money to people, without having the remit to say, we're going to check that you actually needed this money? The scale of the mismanagement
it's gobsmacking.
is huge.
It is.
I mean,
because
$90 billion,
the
amount of waste, it is massive. I understand it was, done at a speed of light. I understand that it was poorly targeted for those reasons. But how don't you go, you know what, we better put a clause in here in case we get it wrong. This is public money. You might not think you need it, but it is public money, $90 billion of it. I don't know. Paul? I can't believe it.
The speed was really important. I just want to add that. The speed to get that money out was really important. It did stimulate the economy. Yep. Most of those dollars, we saw that in the retail tills, was spent, and it really did not only stimulate the economy, it kept people in jobs. So it had a dual effect. I'm certainly not contesting what you're saying there, Angela.
I don't think anyone's denying that, because I think, Paul, it was really, is incredibly important. But I was just reflecting back on it as, we're in this lockdown in Canberra here. I mean, we were all sent home from Parliament. We were sent home and told Parliament wasn't going to sit until August. There was no need for a wage subsidy. It was only, businesses, unions, Labor, we were all saying, look, are you sure about this? This doesn't seem right. So the government did have a little bit of time. It called us back, and of course it's been incredibly important, but it's now got to wear the consequences that it was a poorly designed scheme and that there are these billions of dollars that was in waste. And, they claim to be great economic managers. Well, I think that claim now has proved to be abundantly false.
We should remember where we started this, which is that JobKeeper was fine last year. It was a debacle because all the money was stolen. But we need something this year because we've got the Delta variant now. We've got lockdowns all over the place.
That's the biggest
and we
issue.
haven't got it. we haven't got it now. So what we need is...
But we've got the same payment. It's the same amount of money. It just goes differently.
It doesn't keep that connection with your employer.
It doesn't subsidise a wage, man. I mean, you'd understand as an economist, if you give $750 to a business, they're more likely to maintain the wage of the worker. And so this sets a minimum floor rather than, underpinning the person's individual wage. It's a very different payment.